Coming up on SUTV, we'll tell you about SU's Dancing with the Stars competition.
And we'll let you know about SU's March for Our Lives. Stay tuned.
Welcome to SUTV News. I'm Matthew House.
And I'm Jenna Chapman. SU wrapped up Founders Week on Friday with a series of lectures and events. Last Wednesday, SU hosted Lunch on the Main with stations across campus handing out free food to both the student body and the community. In celebration of Founders Week, the two oldest trees on campus, two giant elms more than 120 years old, were named by a series of student submissions. At the end of the week, the trees were dubbed Thunder and Lightning at a naming ceremony.
Southern Utah University is welcoming a new tradition to campus after Thursday's first annual drag brunch. SU for Diversity and Inclusion hosted the brunch on Thursday in the Starlight Room. Tickets were sold in advance to individual students as well as to several campus organizations. Groups in attendance included the ACES, Women and Gender Studies, SUUSA, and President Wyatt's office. The highlight of the event was a performance from Cerulia, a drag queen visiting SU from Tallahassee, Florida. The event continued with two student drag performers who performed in front of the audience, as well as a panel of judges from the CDI. The audience clapped and cheered to the performances, and almost every seat was filled.
Dancing with the Stars was last week, and our reporter Colton Warren kept up with the dancers while they learned the dances and prepared for the event.
Dancing with the Stars was premiered at the America First Event Center on Wednesday, March 21st. There were overall 5 competitors that were ready to win the Dancing with the Stars title. Casey Bounds, that works for Motor Pool with his partner Emily Burton, explains the hardest steps of the learning process.
I think for me, trying to coordinate all the steps and that and keep the count and remember what foot I lead with and what each foot is doing, I think that's been the trickiest part for me.
The foxtrot, cha-cha-cha, waltz, swing, and salsa were the dances that the couples were performing that night. Jonna Lunt, that works in the math department, Andrew Finlandson, who is Mr. SUU, Naomi Wyatt, who is President Wyatt's daughter, and Kiana Johnson, who is on the women's basketball team, were the other dancing competitors. Naomi Wyatt explains how excited she was when she was asked to participate.
I didn't think I would be asked to do something like this, so it was really exciting when I got asked because it was an opportunity that I didn't think I'd ever have.
The turnout was over 100 people coming to support their family and friends. Casey Bounds said this after he took first place: "The competition was hard and practicing was even harder, but it was totally worth all the effort in the end." Chapman over the Ballroom Dance Company pulled off a spectacular night with all of the people dancing in the competition and all of the people sitting in the audience having an amazing time. Thank you very much for joining us here on SUTV News. I'm Colton Warren.
SU puts on hundreds of events like Dancing with the Stars. Our reporter Ansley Mikesell sits down with the future Student Programming Board President Gwen Ellison to talk about past events and what she hopes for the next year.
Guys, I'm Ansley Mikesell, and I'm here with SPB President Gwen Ellison. She's going to be the Student Programming Board President next year. How are you feeling about that?
Ecstatic. I mean, it's nerve-wracking. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of responsibility, but it's also so incredible for this opportunity to represent the students and to create such an amazing campus and event life for the students.
So,
Awesome.
So this year was your second year being a part of SPB, correct?
Yeah. So my freshman year, I went to Leadership Weekend. They invited me to be an assistant director on SPB. Well, at that time, it was the activities branch of SUSA. And so I got to work under Megan Strand as her assistant, which was incredible. So much fun. I learned so much, loved every second of it. So then I applied to be a director under Sarah Jones for this current year. Got hired, have been planning events all this year, loved it, loved it, loved it. Needed more, and so I ran as student programming board president and was elected.
Sweet. That's so exciting.
Yep.
So what events did you do this year? Tell us about some of them.
Yeah, so I did the Fall Casino Night. I helped plan Miss Native American SUU, but that was more of the Center for Diversity and Inclusion. I did the Winter Masquerade. I did SUU Readathon, and I'm currently in the process of planning SUU Con, April 12th. See you there.
Nice plug, nice plug.
Yeah.
So maybe this feels like choosing between children, but what event was your favorite to plan this year?
Oh, that is so choosing between children. I would have to say, though, the Winter Masquerade. It was so much fun doing the decorations for the event and planning the food, which was just like so unique and different than any masquerade we've ever done. But yeah, just making snowflakes for hours on end was so great, and our team was wonderful that night. They were just so helpful and willing to work, and I just really love the atmosphere at dances. Students just enjoy every single second of it, and so it was really awesome to see it come alive.
See, you talk about that and how it's so fun for you, and that sounds awful for me, sitting around making snowflakes.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a special kind of person.
Yeah, I'm a Pinterest girl for sure, so.
Nice. So, I mean, is there any part of you that ever wishes that you could like be a part of the event and like go to it? Because you have to work it most of the time, right? How is that balancing that? Or do you like working it?
Well, of course I love working with it, especially working the event, especially when you work with the amazing team that we have. I mean, the people that do these events are insane. They're incredible. They're so welcoming. We become a family in SPB. And we do get to kind of go to the events just in being there. And so it's not like we're like slaves that have to go work the events. It's really fun, and you're going to meet so many students, which is incredible, just to hear stories and feedback and just see them light up at the events that our group has planned is so fun.
Okay, let's talk about next year. What is something that you've noticed this year being a director that you want to improve on next year being the president?
Yeah, for sure. One of the big things is communication. Communication with other organizations on SU campus and communication with our students here. I would love to do way more co-sponsored activities. So with clubs, the CDI, the Levitt Center, just more opportunities for them to get the resources to do the events they want. And then with students, our marketing team has done a phenomenal job this year at letting students know what's happening. And we just want to take it that step further with focus groups, feedback surveys, and then door knocking, where we just go to all the apartment complexes and say, this is what's happening this month. We'd love to see you, create a personal connection with those students so they feel welcome at those events. So those are just a couple of changes we're wanting to make.
Well, that's a lot. We're very looking forward to it. Thank you for coming in and talking with us. You can follow SPB on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at SUU_SPB. Thank you again for joining us. Back to you guys at the desk.
The United States is having a national conversation about gun control ever since the shooting in Parkland, Florida. And that conversation took center stage over the weekend. Our reporter Grace Schulz shows us how Cedar City got involved.
Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Cedar City residents took to the streets Saturday morning.
People who say they actually support the Second Amendment, I don't think they actually do.
Marching in remembrance of victims of gun violence and in support of gun reform.
A lot of people want to focus a lot on remembering and mourning for the people who've died, and I think that's really important. But it's also important to figure out what we're going to do to help decrease the amount of people who die in the future.
The march was organized by the SUU Human Rights Advocates Club and Action Iron County, a nonprofit community activism organization.
I think it's important for young people to feel empowered, for them to feel like their voice will be heard, and that in this country we will have people who will support them and empower them.
Over 100 people came to the march, most, but not all, in favor of stronger gun legislation.
It's our constitutional right. It's our God-given right to defend ourselves. protect our homes, our families.
The rest of the marchers, however, were adamant that something needs to be done.
I mean, maybe the Second Amendment is well regulated for the 1800s, but we're in 2017 and people are dying.
In their homes, at the park.
The march ended here on the Library Plaza, where students and community members were given the chance to express their thoughts and concerns about gun control and reform. For SUTV News, I'm Grace Schultz.
Coming up after the break, we'll talk about yesterday's Cedar City Walmart evacuation.
And later, we'll fill you in on the removal of 60 Russian diplomats from the United States. Don't go away.
A single ember from a wildfire can travel over a mile. That ember can ignite and destroy your home or community. You can't control where that ember will land. Only what happens before it does. Visit fireadapted.org to learn how you can help protect your community from wildfires.
They made it sound like such a good deal. They said, sell us your house, rent it from us, then buy it back over time.
They said they'd even fill out all of the paperwork for us.
They said they'd stop foreclosure no matter what. Guaranteed.
So we did what they urged us to do.
And we lost our house. We're getting tossed out.
Got scammed.
Professional mortgage scammers can be so convincing. They can cost you money. They can cost you your home. Mortgage fraud. The pros have lots of cons.
Don't be a victim. Protect yourself. Do your homework.
The Cedar City Walmart is open after a brief evacuation yesterday. At around noon, Cedar City police received a report of a suspicious package left outside the store. Walmart was evacuated as a precaution during the investigation. The package was left by a man with a sensitive skin condition. He was concerned the solvent on the package would burn his skin. He used gloves and tongs to drop off the package. The package was deemed safe and the store reopened after an hour.
One man is dead following a 23-car pileup in northern Utah yesterday. The string of accidents started at around 7 a.m. Monday morning when 12 semi-trucks and 2 passenger vehicles slid into each other on icy roads. The initial accident caused 4 additional crashes in the westbound lane of I-80 near Echo Junction. Semi-truck driver Oscar Longoria was killed in the accident and 13 others were injured, 1 critically. The road was closed until 7 p.m. last night.
The 2018 Utah legislative session is in the books. SU came away from the session with $2.1 million for ongoing funding. That money is expected to help fund growth, reduce barriers to completion, and pay for workforce alignment. SU did not secure funding for the child care center on campus, but it was moved up on the list of budget priorities for the coming year. In addition, the Board of Regents is proposing a 1.5% tuition increase for all Utah schools. This will be the 6th year in a row that SCU is not proposing an institutional tuition increase on top of the Board of Regents increase.
Hundreds of thousands of people marched across the nation on Saturday, lobbying for stricter gun control. Our reporter Savannah Palmer has the story.
More than SU's March for Our Lives, Not One More was chanted by more than 1 million participants in almost 900 other marches across the globe this past Saturday. Protesting against gun violence, this nationwide movement had many speaking out. Here are what a few had to say.
Across the country, not one more, including right here in Knoxville, gathered to protest over the weekend.
I think the outcome was really a great start, and what we witnessed on Saturday was really the birth of a revolution. This is just the beginning. Nobody should be thinking this is the end, especially the politicians that are out there that are supported by the gun lobby and the NRA. That was just an outpouring of support to show the materialization of what support we have online.
This is not the end. This was just the beginning. We're gonna, over the summer, we're gonna try to, go around to colleges and stuff, and or communities, reach out to the kids locally, all around the country. And we didn't just have support all over the country, we had support all over the world.
The projection of these marches is to create concrete legislative outcomes, with the movement's mission statement saying there cannot be two sides to doing everything in our power to ensure the lives and futures of children. I'm Savannah Palmer reporting for SUTV News.
The United States is expelling 60 Russian diplomats. President Trump announced early yesterday that 60 Russian officials had until the end of the week to leave the country, as well as announcing the closure of a Russian consulate in Seattle. The U.S. joined several other NATO nations who also expelled diplomats from their countries. The gesture was mostly symbolic, meant to show support for the United Kingdom following the poisoning of a Russian spy and his daughter in the UK on March 4th. The father and daughter are still both in critical condition. Officials say they are unlikely to fully recover.
Russian President Vladimir Putin will serve for another 6 years. Putin won re-election last Sunday with 76% of the vote. Though there were 8 candidates in the race, Putin's victory was predicted weeks in advance, mainly because of the Kremlin's oppression of opposition parties in the months before the election. Putin has held power in Russia either as president or prime minister for the last 19 years. According to Russian law, this would be Putin's last term and he will have to step down in 2024.
Coming up, I'll let you know what to expect in this week's forecast. Don't go anyway.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
What do you think it would be like to teach? Chances are, you have no idea. Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, proving that greatness can be found in everyday places, and that you don't need to be famous to be unforgettable. That's what it's like to teach.
Welcome to your City Weather Report. I'm Fernando Lopez. Currently, the weather today is sunny with a 44 degrees Fahrenheit, no precipitation, low humidity, and wind speed about 11 miles an hour. Look around the state of Utah, Logan and Ogden, we got about 47 degrees. Salt Lake City, 48. 50 in Provo as well as in Vernal. 49 Richfield. 57 in Green River, 59 in Moab, 45 here in Cedar City, and 64 down in St. George. So that's the place to be right now. Look at the high today. We're very nearly there at 46. Low, 29. And if you want to catch that sunset, hop outside around 7:50 tonight. Look at the rest of the week. We got 56 degrees. High for tomorrow, 31 degrees low, partly cloudy. And for Thursday, we got a 59 high, 36 low, and sunny weather. For Friday, we got a 65 high and a 41 low, sunny weather as well. And for Saturday, we got 68 high and a 41 low, partly cloudy, but hey, it's still 68. Sunday, 65 high and a 39 low, and partly cloudy as well, but hey, should be a good weekend. Hey Colton, what's next in sports?
Coming up on SUTV Sports, we'll take a look at SU's Football Pro Day and the Conference Championship Gymnastics meet. Stay tuned for more next.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. Already posted it.
Welcome to SUTV Sports. I'm your host, Colton Warren. SUU Gymnastics is now preparing for the NCAA Regional Championships in Salt Lake City after taking 4th place at the Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference Championships last weekend right here in Cedar City. The Flippin' Birds finished behind BYU, Boise State, and Utah State with an overall score of 195.575. Autumn Jorgensen earned first team all-conference honors during the event, while Karen Gonzalez earned a spot on the second team. The Flippin' Birds will be joined in Salt Lake City on April 7th by 4th-ranked Utah, 9th-ranked Cal, 16th-ranked Auburn, 26th-ranked Stanford, and fellow MRGC member BYU. The top 2 teams from the regional championships will earn a spot to compete in the national championships in St. Louis, Missouri on April 20th. Now let's take a look at one of the seniors on the team, Karen Gonzalez. Our reporter Charlotte Thalhammer has the story.
Karen Gonzalez is finishing up her 4th season as a flipping T-bird. Gonzalez started gymnastics when she was 7 years old. She continued into college even though there were times she considered quitting.
Many times. Mostly like high school. I feel like high school is way rough.
Throughout all her years in gymnastics, Gonzalez was lucky enough to only have one major injury.
In 8th grade, I broke my arm like in half pretty much. I'd had surgery.
Gonzalez started her freshman year spring of 2015. She was offered to walk on the team by head coach Scotty Bauman. Initially, she was skeptical about SUU, but her visit changed her mind.
I came to a meet that night, and it was Boise, and SUU won, and it was super awesome. So I was like, this is really fun. I'm gonna come here.
Her first time competing with SUU, she was on the lineup for every event.
At that point, I guess I wasn't like super confident in myself. I look back, I'm like, I was in the spot for a reason, and it's because my coaches thought I could do that.
SU Gymnastics has had 7 meets this year, and the season is not over yet.
So before every home meet, the gymnasts come here to the America First Event Center to visualize their routines and to warm up. But Karen Gonzalez says there's another thing she also likes to do before every home meet.
I like to just chill, have a dance party in my room.
Gonzalez says her best event is beam. Although she went through a phase of struggling with it, it is now her favorite.
I feel confident on beam.
During competition, nothing can bring Gonzalez out of her focus. Not even the crowd, the lights, or the opposing team.
You kind of honestly forget about all that, and you're just like zoned in.
Gonzalez's proudest moment in her college experience was getting a 9.95 on beam this season.
And just that feeling after you stick the landing and you just nail the routines.
Her hard work has paid off. Saturday, March 24th, she will be competing in the Mountain Rim Gymnastics Conference Championship here at SUU.
With SUTV News, I'm Charlotte Thalhammer.
One of our newest Flippin' T-Birds this year is transfer student Madison Loomis. Our reporter Amy Andre brings us the story.
When Madison Loomis decided to walk on to the SUU gymnastics team, she wasn't sure what to expect.
Made the right decision. I'm happy I experienced it, but it's definitely in the past.
Loomis transferred from San Jose State because she felt their gymnastics program wasn't right for her, and she had lost her passion for the sport.
My experience at San Jose wasn't positive in the gym and athletic atmosphere.
Loomis has been doing gymnastics since she was 5, and before committing to San Jose, she visited SUU and worked with gymnastics coach Scotty Bauman.
And I came to this camp and I worked with Scotty, and I fell in love with him as coach and as a person.
At first, San Jose's offer was too good to turn down. They offered her a full-ride scholarship, and she decided to follow the money. After 1 year, she changed her mind.
I realized at the end of the day that money doesn't buy happiness.
Southern Utah is definitely a culture shock for the California native, but she's learned to love small-town living. The quiet lifestyle in Cedar is a nice contrast to her busy life as a full-time student and athlete.
I was in Northern California, Silicon Valley, but I kind of like the mellow because when you're in college and you're in athletics on top of it, it's already hectic enough.
Now with almost one full season at SUU behind her, Loomis is enjoying her sport again.
That's really important to me, is when you can just be yourself and have fun, because it makes the job not a job. It's just like a passion.
Maddie Loomis will be competing in her first conference championship with SUU here at the American First Event Center Saturday, March 24th at 6 p.m. This is Amy Andre with SUTV News.
SUU's football hosted its very own private pro day for NFL scouts this morning. Scouts gathered at Desert Hills High School in St. George to evaluate several T-Bird football players, including Mike Needham, Jermaine Dobbs Jr., and Robert Torgerson. The players did drills such as the broad jump, vertical jump, bench press, and the 40-yard dash. More than 10 players from SUU and Dixie State University participated in the event. Head coach Demario Warren said that he is happy to see the hard work of his players pay off.
It's exciting, proud of them. I think they've shown they've been working really hard over the break and came out here and done well for themselves so far. So really excited to see them all back in town and seeing all the hard work that they've done.
That's all I've got for you today. Join us next Thursday for Pardon Our Take, where we'll have a whole half hour of sports just for you.
There was this big bruise on my friend's face. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to think her own nephew could have hit her.
I didn't want to see it. My mother's bank account was emptied, and a caregiver had taken control of it.
I didn't want to see it. My father's refrigerator. There was hardly anything in it. That's unusual for him.
It's tough to see that a senior citizen is being abused, physically, emotionally, sexually, or financially. Elder abuse is a crime.
So see the signs, stop the crimes.
With the Me Too movement gaining traction in workplaces and industries around the country, SUU students joined in the conversation at Pizza and Politics 2 weeks ago. Students gathered in the Michael O. Levitt Center for Politics and Public Service to discuss Title IX sexual harassment and assault and the Me Too movement. Students expressed the need for more education and resources to help prevent sexual assault and more resources for the victims of sexual assault. For more information about campus resources or counseling and psychological services, visit suu.edu/caps.
Founding father Thomas Jefferson believed that the United States should have a primary agricultural economy focusing on the idea that hard work and individualism would lead to prosperity. It appears that President Trump agrees. On the 18th, Vice President Mike Pence spoke about farmers in America using the words of President Trump.
As President Trump has said, our nation was founded by farmers, our independence was won by farmers. Our continent was tamed by farmers, our armies have been fed by farmers and made of farmers, and throughout our history, farmers have always led the way, and farmers will always lead the way in America.
It's Girl Scout cookie season again in Cedar City, and the Thin Mints and Samoas are raising money for a good cause.
Oh, you guys are cute!
At Joanne on Saturday, 5- and 6-year-old Girl Scouts were eager to sell cookies. What do you like about being a Girl Scout?
Selling Girl Scout cookies.
All of the proceeds will stay in the community, helping the Girl Scouts learn new skills.
What we are using it for is to go to camp. We've also used it throughout the year to just buy our craft supplies and go places. We're going to cheer a farm, cheer. So that's going to be this Wednesday coming up. So yeah, we do all sorts of stuff.
Girl Scout cookies are available now through the end of March, and you can find them using the Girl Scout website. For SUTV News, I'm Jenna Chapman.
Thanks for joining us today. I'm Matthew House.
I'm Colton Warren. I'm Fernando Lopez.
And I'm Jenna Chapman. Make sure to tune in on Thursday for the fear-themed Other Show.